Welcome back. This is lesson 4.7 part 2 journal solving proportions. I will be able to correctly solve proportions to find missing values for real life situations using unit rates. Okay, vocabulary for this lesson. A ratio. A ratio is when we compare two things by division. A rate compares two units in different with different labels. Unit rate means for exactly one. Proportion is when we set two ratios equal to each other. And a proportional relationship is when we can multiply or divide both units by the same thing to find a similar relationship. So we're going to add proportional to our vocabulary. So a proportion, we already focused, is a statement that compares fractions or ratios that are equal, but we had to keep the same units together. So miles are on top, miles have to be on top on the other one. Hours have to be on bottom. So proportional are when quantities have the same ratio in common. An example of a proportional relationship is as it grows, the ratio stays the same. So here's an example. If this is a recipe and it takes 3 cups of sugar and 4 cups of flour, we could double the recipe. So times this by 2, I get 6 over 8. Well, 3/4 is the same as 6 over 8. We could times it by 4 and get 12 over 16. So all of these ratios can simplify to become the same exact thing. All of those reduced as 3/4. Okay, an example of a non-proportional relationship. So we need to change this up here, I'm sorry. Not as it grows, as it changes, because it doesn't always have to grow. It could get smaller. We could be going backwards. We could be going from 12/16 to 6/8, but that ratio stays the same. So here is as it changes. The ratio changes. So if we're comparing dogs to cats in an animal shelter, there are 3 dogs to 4 cats this week. Next week there are 6 to 10. This has been times by 2, but this has not been times by 2. So that makes so that these are not equivalent to each other. This got times by 2 to get 12, but 10 was not times by 2 to get 18. Those are not equivalent to each other. So therefore, this is considered a non-proportional relationship. They don't have the same ratio in common. So let's go back to our other page. So it says, set up and solve a proportion for each of the following scenarios. Casey's car used 12 gallons of gas to go 432 miles. Based on this, how far could he go on 11 gallons of gas? Okay, fill in what we know. First of all, we are comparing gallons to what? Miles. So I'm going to put miles per gallon is usually how we do this, so I'm going to put miles on top. So 432 miles. And that went with 12 gallons of gas. Okay, remember your units have to be the same, so this one's going to be gallons. This one's going to be miles. Now what piece of information do we know here? We know 11 gallons of gas. We don't know how many miles, so we're going to use a variable to say that. I'm just going to say X. So we are trying to find a unit rate. So that's what we're going to do down here. This is the proportional setup. Now this one, I can't think of anything obvious that gets me from 12 to 11. So some of the other ones we looked and we said, oh, that's been times by 3. That's been divided by 2. On this one, 12 to 11, I don't see something obvious. So what we're going to do is we're going to first find the unit rate using the one we know, and then use that to get to the one we're after. So if I can get this down to 1 gallon, I can turn 1 into 11. So we're going to start here with our ratio. So since we've got it set up, I'm just going to use the numbers now. So 432 over 12. I'm just going to put miles and gallons. And we're trying to find X miles compared to 11 gallons. Okay. So right now we've just got it set up. I want to morph this into a unit rate. So remember, unit rate means for 1. So if I want for 1 gallon, and right now I have for 12 gallons, what am I going to have to do to figure out to get to 12 to 1? Okay, remember it's just a matter of dividing the top one by the bottom, or in this case I'm dividing them both by 12, whichever way you want to look at it. 12 gallons divided by 12 is going to give me 1. So that can get me mathematically there. So I'm going to do 432 divided by 12, which right now I don't know. 12 goes into 4, it doesn't. 12 goes into 43. Let's see, that would be 3 times, minus 36. That makes this a 3. 13 minus 6 is 7. 3 minus 3 is 0. Bring down the 2. 12 goes into 72 6 times. 6 times 12 is 72. That gives me 0. Alright, so now I know that he got 36 miles for 1 gallon. Did that answer my question? No, because it said how far could he go on 11 gallons of gas. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up, all I did was reduce this ratio to be a unit rate. So now I'm going to take 36 miles over 1 gallon, and I'm going to transition that into what I'm actually after, which was 11 gallons. So instead of just finding something that links this to this, we just did an extra step in there by going to the unit rate first. So what do I have to do to 1 to turn it into 11? Well, I'm going to multiply by 11. So what am I going to have to do to figure out the miles? I'm going to times 36 by 11 to get how many miles there are. So 36 times 11, let's see what we get. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. 0 placeholder. 1 times 6 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. Add it up. 6, 9, 3. So in other words, on 11 gallons of gas, we could go 396 miles. We found our unknown amount. So up here, let's write our answer. 396 miles. All right, let's try this one. Warren's dog eats a 24-pound bag of dog food every 16 days. Okay, we're comparing pounds of dog food to days. He's going on a 2-week vacation. How much food does he need to have for his dog while he's gone on his trip? Okay, 2 weeks. Don't just get caught in reading the number 2. 2 weeks is how many days? 14 days. Okay, so with this, we know that 24 pounds goes with 16 days. So we need days to stay on the bottom and pounds of food to stay on the top. So based on the second one, it says he's going on a 2-week vacation. That would be 14 days. All right, now I'm going to see if I can see a link between these two first. 16 to 14. I don't see any easy relationship. It's not a times by 2 or something like that. So I'm going to use the unit rate to help me figure it out. So down here, or let's call this P for pounds of dog food. I don't know what it is yet. So 24 pounds in 16 days. Trying to find out how many pounds we need for 14 days. There's not an obvious link, so we're going to take the one we know and make it into a unit rate. So I want for 1 day. So if I'm going to go from 16 days to 1 day, I'm going to end up dividing by 16. So to get from here to here, I'm dividing by 16. That means I'm also going to divide this one by 16 to get how many pounds of food. Now, it's not going to come out a nice whole number, but it's not going to be too ugly of a fraction either. You can look at the decimal or you can look at the fraction. Both will work. So if I take 24 and divide by 16 and I look at that from a fraction perspective, I know that 8 goes into both of these, so I'm going to reduce this by 8, and I'm going to reduce this one by 8. Simplify. That would give me 3 over 2. And 3 over 2 is the same as 1 and 1/2. So 1 and 1/2, or I could have divided 24 by 16. I got 1.5 if you want to look at the decimal one. That means his dog is going to be getting 1.5 pounds of food each day. Now, does that answer my question about how much he's going to need while he's gone on his trip? It does not, but I can use it. So I'm going to just go with my unit rate. So 1.5 pounds for 1 day. And now I can transition that into the number of days I wanted. 14 days. So what do I have to do to get from 1 to 14? If I can get it to 1, 1 easily changes into anything. I'm going to times it by 14. That means I have to times this by 14. So 1.5, which is 3 over 2. Remember, with fractions, we want to keep them improper to help us when we're calculating. So 1.5 times 14. I'm going to cross cancel here. I see that 2 goes into both of these. So 2 goes into 2 one time. 2 goes into 14 7 times. Times across the top. 3 times 7 is 21. 1 times 1 is 1. So in other words, I'm going to need 21 pounds of food to take care of his dog all the time he's gone. So to answer this question, 21 pounds. Alright, let's try this next one. Julie is taking an art class. It costs $25 for 4 lessons. Okay, we're comparing dollars to lessons. If she wants to pay for all 26 lessons for the rest of the year, how much money will it cost? Alright, we know that it's going to cost $25. And we're comparing that to 4 lessons. So over here, lessons have to be on the bottom because that's where we put them. And dollars will be on top. And the other one we know is 26 lessons. Now looking at this, 4 to 26, I don't see an obvious easy connection. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my unit rate. And then I'm going to use that to figure out how much. I'm going to use M for money. Money it's going to cost her to pay for the rest of the year. So setting this up, $25 over 4, I'm just going to put L for lessons, is equal to, we don't know how much money for 26 lessons. So to find a unit rate, I'm going to take the one I know both. So 25 over 4 lessons. If I figure out just for 1 lesson, then I can figure out for any amount of lessons. So what do I have to do to 4 to get to 1? Well, that's easy. Divide by 4. That means I have to divide this by 4. Since it's money, I'm going to go stick with the decimal version of it. So let's do 25 divided by 4. 4 goes into 2. It doesn't. 4 goes into 25. 6 times minus 24 leaves me with 1. Since I want to go into the decimal, I'm going to annex a decimal and a 0. Put a decimal up here. 4 goes into 10 2 times minus 8. 10 minus 8 gives me 2. Annex another 0. Bring it down. 5. What am I doing? 0. 4 goes into 25 times. Minus 20 leaves me 0. That tells me I'm done with my division. So what does this mean? It means that each lesson is $6.25. Cool. Did that answer my question about how much it's going to cost her for the rest of the year? Not yet, so I'm going to use that. So $6.25 for one lesson. We're now looking at our unit rate, and we're going to transition into the unit, or the unit size we want. We want 26 lessons. So now that we know for 26 lessons, I'm going to times that by 26, which means I'm going to times this by 26. All right, down here at the bottom, 625 times 26. Let's see what we get. 5 times 6 is 30. Regroup 3. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. Regroup 1. 6 times 6 is 36. Plus 1 is 37. 0 placeholder. 2 times 5 is 10. Regroup 1. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. 2 times 6 is 12. Add it up. 0, 5, 12. Regroup 1. 4 plus 2 is 6. And 1. And then we need 1, 2 places behind my decimal. So what does that tell me? It's going to cost us $162.50 to pay for art lessons for the rest of the year. So back up here, our final answer. How much money will it cost us? $162.50. Okay, so anytime you're solving a proportional relationship, first see if you can find an easy way. If you can find an easy thing, times by 3, divide by 2. If you can't, the unit rate will always help you figure it out. Go ahead and rate yourself on this concept. How do you feel? 0 meaning I'm struggling a lot. 4 meaning I got this and I can teach it. And take a picture and turn it in on Google Classroom.